I think that at the time we were ready for change, but the process was very intimidating because there's just a million reasons that we justified for ourselves and why we shouldn't make the jump. As we started transitioning, we kept trying to go back to the old work because it was there and available and we could do it.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question: what has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling, the business psychologist, the author of How to Hire the Best, and your co-host on the Profit by Design podcast. Weekly, my co-host, Mike Bruno, and I bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests, who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real-life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire. At Tap the Potential, we know that you want to be freed from the constant demands of your business. In order to do that, you need a business that supports your life. The problem is you have a cash-sucking business taking over your life, leaving you frustrated and discouraged. We believe work supports life, not the other way around. We understand you're paying a team and you're still having to do it all. There should be accountability. It shouldn't be this hard, which is why through our proprietary coaching system, we help thousands of business owners just like you have more time for what's important to them and grow profit by 300 to 800%. Here's how we do it. First, take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. Next, meet with our success team lead to debrief your results. Then, join our Better Business, Better Life program. By the end of your first year with us, you will have more time for what matters to you and more money in your bank account than you've ever had before. So take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment so you can stop working so hard for so little return. Take your life back. Profit Designers. Today I'm bringing you an interview with Andrew Tvardzik. Andrew and his family have been clients with us in the Better Business, Better Life program at Tap the Potential for a relatively short period of time, about 2 years now. And the reason I say short period of time is because when you hear the transformation that is taking place in their business, I believe you will really appreciate how rapidly it's possible for you to experience a higher quality of life and a business that is much more profitable and sustainable. Mike and I talk to you often here on the Profit by Design podcast about the importance of designing your business to be sustainably profitable. Andrew and his family have done that, and Andrew shares the challenges that they've experienced in doing so, how they've overcome those challenges, and I believe you are going to gain some insights for yourself that you'll be able to use in your own business as you work towards designing your own sustainably profitable business that supports the lifestyle you desire. So here's a little bit to know about Andrew as we go into the interview. Andrew was first introduced to running a business when he was 10 years old. He started mowing lawns and built an impressive clientele for a 10-year-old. At age 14, he got a job working for a restaurant facilities maintenance company. He worked there for 11 years doing everything from sweeping the warehouse to running crews as a lead man to operations manager. In 2015, he went into business with his father doing remodeling and real estate investing. In 2018, they added Andrew's brother Samuel to the team and started Cedar Ridge Log Homes. Their goal is to become the premier cedar long home builders in Deep Creek, Maryland, and they are making it happen. With that, let's join the conversation with Andrew. Profit Designers, at Tap the Potential, we are on a mission right now to be a positive force in social media during trying times for all of us entrepreneurs. In that regard, I would love it if you could help us out. We really want to get behind any of you who are doing good things in your communities, showing up and leading with love. If you are doing something to keep your team together during this time and you're sharing it in social media, or you come across another entrepreneur who is being a gift from their gift in some way that you notice, please use the hashtags lead with love and be a gift. Our team at Tap the Potential is on the lookout in social media for those hashtags, and we will be reposting those social media posts from the Tap the Potential social media. Let's all lead with love, be a gift, and shine bright during these trying times. So, Andrew, welcome to the Profit by Design podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
I'm excited to get to dig in with you. It has really been an honor for us to get to work with you and your family over the last couple of years and see the growth that you all are experiencing and where you started and where you are now. And I think we have a real opportunity to look today with what's going on with your business, how you're navigating the new normal that is in place now because of COVID-19 and what's going on. And especially in the construction industry, you have really seen the struggle of hiring and how you're navigating hiring in a high growth company. And so there's lots of different ways that we can go in the conversation today. I think it would be really helpful to start with when you first came to us at Tap the Potential, where things were and what that was like. And especially from your perspective, what were you experiencing and feeling at that point?
Yeah. So we started working with the Tap the Potential team in, I think it was October of 2018. And leading up to that, my father and I had gone into business together in 2016. And we came from a construction background, remodeling in additions, commercial, residential. And he had a business that he sold in 2015 to his partner, and him and I went into business together at that point. And when we came to the Tap the Potential team, we just really realized that things were not going the way that we had thought they were going to. We were struggling to find our niche. We really had no niche. We were taking all sorts of jobs for all sorts of customers, and we were really working ourselves into the ground, really. I mean, it was pretty bad. And we realized that what we were doing wasn't working, and we wanted to do it different and better. And so we just started looking for solutions. And we ended up with the Tap the Potential team after reading Profit First and realizing that there was a better way to do our books. There was a better way to run our finances. And then through that process, got introduced to Tap the Potential and started coaching. But when we first started coaching with Tap the Potential team, we didn't even have this business. It was a totally separate business that we ended up just not totally abandoning. We still kept part of it because we had real estate wrapped up in it as well, which is actually doing fantastic now. But it was a pretty drastic shift pretty much right from the beginning of working with the Tap the Potential team of what we were doing and how we were running our business and even what industry we were in.
What is it that you did with us that caused that shift? What were the light bulb moments? Do you remember?
I think that the light bulb moments were really just somebody saying, hey, you don't have to continue down this road anymore. And just somebody saying, hey, there's another way. And we're here to show you what that way is. And that was really what we were looking for, because we knew there had to be something that we were missing, because it was just hard. Every day was just hard. And the Tap the Potential team and coming into this community, we were hardcore trapped in our survival trap, very survival trap mentality based. And we were taking all sorts of jobs for people that we knew we shouldn't be working for. But we were stuck in that, we have payroll to hit, we have these things, we have these commitments, we have our own bills to pay, we need to take this work. And we just kept on taking jobs on that weren't serving us. And the Tap the Potential team really helped us realize that we don't have to do that anymore, and kind of helped us figure out how to not do that anymore.
So what I want to get at is that point that you were like in early 2019 when you were like, okay, what we've thought we were going to do is not viable anymore. We want to go towards something that's more sustainable. And you started designing and laying claim to what you wanted. Working less hours is one of those things. Can you identify anything else? Maybe that was it. Maybe that's all there was.
We were also looking for good customers. We were tired of working for people that didn't appreciate the value that we brought to business and that we brought to them. Working in the construction industry, there's a lot of bad contractors out there, and we're just not one of them. And we were tired of working for people that either assumed we were one of those or trying to convince people that we weren't that, or why we brought value to their life, and really realizing that our customers that we were working for weren't the people that we really wanted to be working for. They were just jobs that we were taking because we were capable of doing the work, but it wasn't the right work for us.
So if you were to talk to yourself back then, and because I think it takes a lot of courage to say, hey, we don't want to take every job, right?
Yeah.
And to let go of the old habit of just saying yes to whatever comes your way because you need to get cash in the door. If you could, knowing what you know now, if you could go back and talk to yourself then when you were in a place of this is scary, what would you say to yourself?
I think the first thing that I would do is acknowledge that it is scary, but it's scary for a purpose. And also the life that we were living, that was scary too. Like to continue on with the way that things were, there was no more joy found in that than in changing. And so I think that at the time we were ready for change, but the process was very intimidating because there's just a million reasons that we justified for ourselves and why we shouldn't make the jump. We even, as we started transitioning, we kept trying to go back to the old work because it was there and available and it paid and we could do it. And we just kept going back and back and back, and we kept having to force ourselves, stop going back. There's a better way. And really, once we finally broke out of that survival trap, momentum was just insane. And so if I could go back and tell myself one thing, it would be trust the process, break out of the survival trap, and you're not even ready for what's coming towards you. It's going to be awesome.
That's pretty amazing. One of the things that I think about is the conversation we had as you were on the way out the door at this last retreat, and you were telling me about closing, that your team closed almost $1 million sale while you were at the retreat, totally unplugged.
Yep.
So like, how do you go from survival, I got to take anything, we have to take any project that comes our way, to, wow, I can unplug as a CEO, my team's got this, and look at these sales that we're closing. Walk us through that, Andrew. That's amazing.
We really found the right customer. I think that was the biggest thing that happened to us, was we realized that we had a unique offering for the construction industry. And there was a customer out there that wanted the offering that we had. They wanted a contractor that fit our personality and who we were and how we do business. And once we found those customers, closing became really our biggest pumpkins, are our easiest pumpkins to close because they're out there looking for us. And it gave us the confidence to be able to just let go of all the customers that weren't looking for us and realize that we were trying to save people that didn't want to be saved. And we were trying to work hard for these people that didn't really want us to work hard for, that didn't appreciate. They were just looking for the cheap contractor, and that wasn't us. And that's fine. And they can have they can hire the cheap contractor, but that wasn't us. And that wasn't the offering that we brought. And then once we really identified our customer and really started focusing on who we were serving and why we were serving them, all of a sudden closing deals. We've never closed anything close to $1 million before this in any business that we've been in. And I wasn't even there. I wasn't on the phone call. I was had my phone turned off, and it was hard and it was scary. But the team did it, and it was great. And the customer is extremely happy, and we're starting the project in 6 weeks.
Yeah. Wow.
I have a couple of questions. So how does it feel to have so much more clarity as opposed to where you guys were before? For somebody who's kind of, picture the builder that, you were a couple of years ago. And I know that I lived that same exact track for many, many years. So I know exactly what you went through. But for somebody who's like completely frazzled right now, can you maybe explain the feeling of this clarity and where you are now as opposed to where you were before?
Yeah, my job is so much more fun now. I really get to do what I like doing more now, which is taking a customer and really understanding their vision and really understanding what makes them tick and really understanding what they're trying to accomplish out of this build. And that's something that naturally fires me up. And so with the customers that were just beating us down for cheaper prices, they didn't care about that. And so they were taking away from me something that really gave me life. So now my interactions with my customers are totally different. They become my friends very quickly. We really create a great connection. They have our interest at heart. It's everything. I mean, it's just, the feeling is peace. The feeling is excitement. The feeling is, I'm not wondering, am I going to make payroll next month? It's, my customers are concerned that I am being profitable. I have customers ask me that if I need to raise my price for certain things, which is totally mind blowing. Never had a customer do that before. They see the value in me and I see incredible value in them. And I fight for my customers now because it's just everything. They just make my job great and I get to make their life better by me doing what I naturally do well.
That's awesome. That's really good.
What is it like for you with what's the impact on your wife and your children and your family unit? What's different there?
So this whole process there's nothing pretty about kind of what got us to this point. A year and a half. So we started our new business, which is in custom log home building in Western Maryland. And we were living not in Western Maryland at the time. And so for a year, I was commuting 5 hours a day as we built this business. And that was tough. But my wife, I'm really grateful and I'm exceptionally blessed that my wife has total confidence in me. And she believed in me from the beginning. And she believed in us and this thing that we were trying to create. And so I didn't have a lot of resistance from her. But since we've really found our niche, man, her life is great. She loves it. I'm home every day. I work from home all the time. I make breakfast for my kids now. I'm home on the weekends. We're actually living our life together again, which we weren't doing for a really long time.
I can hear in your voice, like how important that is to you and how much you cherish that.
Yeah, it was everything. That was another big reason for why things needed to change. We always said that we wanted to live our life by design. And as I stopped and looked at my life, I was like, this isn't the life that I designed. So something needs to change.
Yeah. And you've moved, right?
Yep.
So talk a little bit about what that's like for you to get to live where you live now and that dream.
Yeah. So in finding our ideal customer, so our niche that we settled in was vacation log homes in Deep Creek Lake, Maryland, which is in Western Maryland. It's an incredible place. I have a lake right outside my window from my house. I have a mountain that I work on that's also a ski resort. We have hiking, we have fishing, we have pretty much anything that you would want to do outdoors, we have here. And it's a vacation town. There's tons to do. Our house is awesome. Like just everything about our quality of life has increased. It just by really an unbelievable amount. It was scary because it required a total relocation. We left family behind. I also worked with family, so family did come with us, but my wife's family stayed behind, and that was difficult for her. But moving here, as she told me just a couple of days ago, this is one of the best decisions that we've ever made as a couple. And I think another big part of that was that I really let moving be her decision, because I knew that this thing that I was searching for, this business that I was trying to create, this was really my dream. It really wasn't my wife's dream necessarily, beyond the fact that she just wanted to support me in my dream. But she never had a desire to start a construction company, that wasn't part of her MO. And so I recognized that from the beginning. And so I never forced the move on her. I never told her we were moving. I committed to the commute for a season. And eventually she got to the point where she was comfortable with it and ready for it. And moving was really her idea, which made it really easy to move. Really, it's a lot easier to relocate your wife when it's her idea.
Well, I think we all want to be at choice, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the cool things that's a theme throughout everything you're saying is you're choosing. You yourself have been at choice in designing. And I love how you use the word design. You have intentionally designed this business, your family, and the choices that you're making are with a bigger picture in mind of what's important to you. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I remember that was a big aha moment when I look back on what happened with you guys from 2018 to here we are, early 2020. And for our listeners, I really want to point out that is like a 1.5 years, 2 year time frame. It's a very short time frame that you went from unsustainable, what we're doing, we cannot continue down this road. You said it was scary to look at what would happen if you continued, to being at a place where your life is much better, your personal life is much better, the quality of life outside of work is much better, you have more time for your family. And now you're in a place where the business is growing, and so that presents its own set of challenges. But the point that was the real turning point was when you guys zeroed in on your immutable laws.
Yeah.
Can you talk some about that?
Yeah, I mean, the immutable laws just gave us we really adopted the immutable laws pretty quickly when it came to our customers. And we were told that you didn't have to work for customers you don't want to work for. And I think that we were just so desperate for that we were just like, great, sounds good. We believed it like I mean, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't beautiful, but like the concept we grasped pretty quickly. And using the immutable laws to kind of guide us through that process, it just made it clear who wasn't for us. It made it clear who, and the immutable laws at this point have become almost like a protector. I mean, I think that's what they're supposed to be, but they are a protector for us. They're the red flag that pops up that we say, okay, every customer that we've ever had that did this, every customer that we've ever had that was really hard to communicate with, it's never been a successful project ever. So let's not work for people that are really hard to communicate with. And it was like, oh, okay. Well, we just got rid of a whole batch of unsuccessful projects. So great. And it just became a protector for us to say, this doesn't work for us anyway. And these are really going to be the indicators that let us know, hey, this relationship isn't going to work in the long run, regardless of what you do. So they're just not a customer, and that's fine. They're somebody else's customer.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to point out and add on to that is the mental toll of a bad client is so much greater than having the guts to actually make the change and find the right ones.
Yeah.
And then the feeling that you have when you have the right ones is phenomenal. I mean, you can't even describe, having fun again, right? Working and just having people that are respecting what you're doing instead of just treating you like a commodity and like a piece of dirt.
Yeah.
Like I remember times of like literally on my hands and knees going through people's houses trying to collect like my last payment, like just, really weird things. But the other thing that's really interesting is that the feeling, I know that, we just actually walked away from an opportunity that was like an $8 million opportunity. And it was like my gut and my intuition told me this was going to be a bad client because of the way that we were being treated in like the dating phase. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I do not want to be married to this person for 18 months. And the feeling of not engaging that client anymore and just walking away, it's awesome. It really, to have the power to walk away is like invigorating. It really is a good feeling. And then you can concentrate again, the people that are treating you right and going and finding the right clients.
I think what you're saying, Mike, is very remarkable, especially, the new normal with COVID-19. There's so many business owners feeling pretty desperate, like we've got to just take whatever comes our way. Once we've had that experience of working with clients who are well aligned with our immutable laws and who value us, for me, it feels like there's no amount of money that makes it worthwhile to torture myself and my team with people who are not going to appreciate us.
Yeah, that's the key phrase, torture.
Torture.
The other thing, Sabrina, I wanted to ask Andrew, as you're talking, we're like exactly the same because so many of the things are spot on, like with my wife, my family, all those things. But is there some type of psychology around the feeling of calm when things are going good? Because Andrew, I also worked with Tap the Potential for a long time, and it totally changed my mindset, my life, my direction, everything. And I reached some place, a year and a half or 2 years ago where there's been like this steady sense of calm where I'm not going back into that hole of torture ever again. I'm just not doing it. But like, even when I talk to other people, like in different business groups and stuff, and they're like, how's everything going? And I remember my 2 year or 3 year ago self where I'd be like, it's a disaster. I hate it. Everything sucks. But there has been a real true peace of mind, like once you're on the right direction and you have that clarity and you know what you deserve, it's totally different.
So you asked about the psychology in that. In my experience, when we align our entire life around our core values, and the immutable laws in the business are an expression of our core values. And so once we get clear on what those immutable laws are, we know our core values and we start to identify our vision and our mission, and we know who we're about. And I really feel like the process of identifying the business sweet spot for an entrepreneur, there's so much growth, personal growth that happens in that because we have to claim our strengths, right? We have to own, here are my gifts, and this is what I have of value to contribute to the world. And once we kind of put a box around that and wrap it up and understand these are my gifts. These are the gifts that my team has to bring. These are our immutable laws. That's a solid foundation from which to operate on. And it gives us tremendous, you use the word peace, calm. Underneath all of that, I feel like it's confidence. I personally wake up with a sense every day. I don't know what the world is going to throw at me today, but I'm grounded. And I know I have my compass. Here's how I'm going to navigate. And so even in the midst of a lot of chaos, I can feel very centered and calm because I have a way of making choices. There are filters. And I think this will happen, Andrew, for you, and it's probably already started to happen. Mike, I know it's happened for you where you quickly suss out, I don't want to do business with this person, or this person, I don't want to invite them any further in my life because there's something off here, like that intuition that you spoke to. I think our intuition gets stronger and stronger around those things. And I think we become much more deliberate in our choices that we make. And that is a self-reinforcing cycle because we see the positive outcome from it. You turning down an $8 million project, Mike, you immediately feel that sense of relief and that reinforces, yep, that was the right decision. Andrew, I know you had an experience with a client recently as people were starting to really feel the fallout from COVID-19, where she was in a state of just high stress and anxiety. And you were able to talk to her from that grounded, calm place, and it had a huge impact. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, this one particular lady, Erin, she has been a great customer, and we've built a really good relationship through the design phase and construction phase. And we were about a month into starting her home, which is about a 6-month project, as all of this stuff with COVID-19 came out. And she is a nurse in Baltimore, so she's working in the hospitals and she's around just constant chaos with the pandemic. So she called me very flustered. It was the first time that she's ever called me very flustered, and just basically came right out with it and said, everything is falling apart. Is my house, is my build, are you falling apart? Are you going to go out of business? It was kind of funny because it was very accusational in the phone call. But I think that just because of this process that we've been going through, and like you said, the confidence with really knowing who we were and what we stood for, the old me would have immediately defended adamantly and gotten mad that she was questioning us. And probably because we were about to go out of business. Like, that's why I was getting mad at that. I was like, oh, she's calling me out because this is actually happening. But this time I was able to just identify that she was experiencing stress and just say, Erin, really, I appreciate you asking me that. For the last 2 years, we've been working with professional business coaches that have really been preparing us for situations like this. And of course, nobody could ever predict a pandemic like this. But actually, instead of looking at closing down, we're actually hiring right now, and we're actually getting more leads in now, and we're actually getting more specific about what we're doing. And we've launched marketing campaigns and hiring campaigns during the pandemic. And the relief in her voice was instant. And that was the first time that I realized that I have a responsibility to my customers to serve, to really focus on serving them. And by getting rid of all the customers that didn't help us, getting rid of all the customers that were sucking the profit out of our business, getting rid of all the stresses that were just constantly bombarding us, we were able to create a business that is able to sustain itself through a pandemic, which is huge. And it's amazing. And it's something that, it was a huge epiphany for me to realize that I was actually giving that gift to her, because the relief in her voice was instant. It was, okay, I have a lot of chaos going on in my life, but my builder is secure. And I was like, you know what? That's not necessarily, I'm not giving her the world, but at least I'm giving her something. And that's good for me.
Mike, do you want to jump in with anything here? I see the look on your face.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal story. And I think, as you were talking about that, I was thinking my own past, when I was taking on jobs that I shouldn't, and I had a lot of clients that I shouldn't have had. There was definitely times in my career where if a pandemic happened, I would have been out of business because those bad clients would have been sucking me dry. My profit, my employees, my mental power, and I probably just would have threw in the towel because I would have been like, you know what, this is just way too much. I can't deal with, 10 bad clients and the 2 good ones that I have and all these headaches and employees and everything. It would have just been a mess. But, it's phenomenal to be in a position of strength and confidence and clarity because things do happen, right? They always say the only thing that's constant is change. this was out of the norm. You know what? Maybe it's a new norm or maybe something else happens. But if you're stable mentally, and you have the right clients, you have the right business model, you have the right employees, when things happen, it's a blip, but it's recoverable. You can move on. You can serve those great clients and keep the A-player employees and keep moving along. So it's a phenomenal story.
Yeah, the piece that really speaks to me is you said, Andrew, that's the first time you realized, I don't know if you used the word gift, but that's what went through my mind, is the gift that you're able to give your clients in that peace of mind when everything else is falling apart. They can count on you.
Mm-hmm.
You're helping her and her family achieve a dream in what you're building for them. And they were not being faced with losing that dream. That's what I heard in her fear. Everything is falling apart around me, and I have this one thing that we've been dreaming about that you're helping us build. Are you going to abandon us too? Are you going to shut down? And then we're having to let go of that too. And you were able to communicate that confidence. And I know for our team at Tap the Potential, our confidence in what we're able to do for our clients has been critical in seeing our clients through stress and chaos and all that questioning that happens as you're in the midst of transitioning a business. Because there are those moments of self-doubt and, where things fall, they feel like the wheels are coming off, everything's falling apart. And for us to be able to step forward and say, we know what's on the other side. We've got this, hold our hand, we're going to pull you along. It's going to be okay. That is critical. And I hear you conveying that to your client, that it's going to be okay. We got this.
Yeah, it was really cool to experience that. And it was really illuminating to me just how important it is to continue on with the process. Because if this had happened a year and a half ago, I can't imagine a scenario where we would have been able to survive something like this. And with it happening now, I really am having a hard time finding a scenario where we don't survive this. Like, it's just, we're really set up well to handle a situation like this. And I didn't realize that was something that I was giving to my customers as well. And that was huge. That really was a huge mental shift and really made me more resolved to stay more focused and dig more in and pumpkin plan more and really position ourselves to serve the customer more, because I was able to do that for her.
So one of the pieces of your story that I would love to have you speak to, and we talked about this ahead of the podcast, so I'm not putting you on the spot. There was a moment when you guys reached out and you said, I think we need to stop coaching.
Yeah.
Can you speak to where you were in that space and what happened?
Yeah. I think that's important for people to understand, is that those moments happen. It's the old story of stopping mining 3 feet away from the gold vein comes to mind. And it was a really rough season. We've gone months where we were really pumpkin planning hard and really focusing on attracting the right customers. And we were turning down job after job because we knew that they weren't the right customer for us. And it was very tempting in that moment to jump back on taking jobs that we shouldn't have. There were some big deals that were kind of hinging, and, money got tight for a little while. And it really came down to giving up right before success. That was what it was. We were so close. But at the same time, we had been so long of a it's not long looking back, a year and a half. Everybody's like, oh, what's this kid talking about? It's only been a year and a half. That was a really, really, it was a difficult process for the year and a half to get to where we are now. And not stopping was everything. I mean, just continuing on, being faithful, believing in the process, trusting that this was going to work, trusting that we were doing the right things. And really, it was just a faith aspect at that point, because we couldn't see it. Other people could see that we were close, but it was really hard for us to see it in the moment just because it felt so real.
So I wasn't on that call with you guys. You were talking to Darren, our success team lead. So I only have, secondhand information about it. My sense, though, was it was very intense. Your family was really pushing that we need to stop. You had a sense that we need to go, but you were also kind of I'm not sure. What was said to you that had an impact?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So they were just repeating back to us what we were saying. And I was just realizing how silly it was, really. It was our excuses they weren't good excuses. They were just bad reasons to give up. But for us in the moment, they felt so real. It felt so heavy. But then when it was repeated back to me, I was like, oh, it's actually not even a good reason to stop, like to quit right now. I couldn't even think of a reason after the phone call. It was just that, just repeating back to me what I was saying and helping me realize that I was stuck again in survival trap. I was stuck in things are tight. I need to save money. I need to get out of this. I don't know what, this isn't working. All of a sudden I felt like it wasn't working when it was working. It was just needed a few more weeks to just let it play out. And yeah, it was just survival trap, just getting stuck in that again, really.
Yeah, I think it's that panic that sets in when we get into fight or flight response, and our good logical thinking, our wise mind goes out the window, and we just focus on, I'm scared and this looks like the right action that's right in front of me. So that's what I'm doing. And you guys made a different choice. And I want to acknowledge that, because it was not, it was weeks later, not even a month, I don't think, where it was a complete shift in the business.
We were inches away from the gold vein when that happened. If we had stopped that day, it probably wouldn't have been one of the biggest mistakes that I've made. We were so close, and we just needed to keep going, keep pushing, keep fighting. And the return was, I'm still dealing with kind of that PTSD from going through all of that. And now we're kind of on the other side of it. And I have to constantly be fighting myself again, reminding myself, hey, like Mike, like you were saying, with this calm, with this peace, I have to remind myself that I'm actually living in a calmer, more peaceful environment, because I'm just so used to that chaos. And it's like, no, I'm not there anymore. Like, That's awesome. I'm not there. I don't have to go back there. I look at the future and I see no signs that we're heading back there. So I can just be at peace, be calm, stop reverting back to these old habits, and just focus on what we're doing and how we're going to do it better and how we're going to continue moving forward.
Yeah. So I want to speak to the psychology of this, because it's important and it happens to all of us. When we are on the cusp of change, and you said, inches from the gold, our gremlins come out in full force. Full force. So our gremlins are the enemy of change. They like status quo. And our gremlins are self-defeating thoughts and beliefs and old patterns. And what we have to recognize about those gremlins is they developed in our life at a time when they protected us from something years ago. Whatever purpose they served protected us from something years ago. That something is no longer in our lives. The gremlins don't recognize. They just see change. And as human beings, none of us like change. We like the status quo because we know what to expect. At least we know what to expect. As uncomfortable as it is to be in the old way, at least we know what's coming. So when we are on the cusp of big change and breakthroughs, we see this all the time at Tap the Potential with our clients. That's when the gremlins come out in full force, where we go into fear and that desire to stop coaching or to stop whatever the combination of successful actions has been to that point, to just abandon it and let go. And so for us on our team, it's been really important that we identify those moments and not react to them, and instead invite you to come through on the other side. Like, just stick with this process. We know what's over here. It's going to be better for you on the other side.
It is a weird kind of dynamic, right? Because when you're in the midst of the chaos, that feels normal. And then when you're on the other side of it and you have the peace and the calm, that doesn't seem normal. It's almost like what's going to fall or drop because it doesn't feel right, because I'm not used to being in this total state of 3,000% stress and chaos and mayhem and all this other stuff. And then it's also being confident enough to analyze opportunities appropriately. I feel like many times as an entrepreneur, you look at everything as a potential opportunity, right? Whether it's the person asking you to, in our case, do a kitchen remodel or, build this or build that. And you're like, yeah, I'm capable of doing it. Let's just bang it out. Maybe we could make 10 grand on it, right? So it's hard to really take a step back and say, you know what? Every opportunity is not an opportunity. I have to look at the opportunity, assess it, see if it fits my definition of an opportunity and my path of success, then be able to move forward with it as an opportunity. So it's like creating these gates and kind of moving things around. But I feel like it took me a long time even to just understand what it felt like to be normal, right? And then be okay with just I guess I'm a normal person, right? I'm not like running, like, I'm not waking up in the middle of the night worrying about money. I'm not frantic and running all over the place. It really is strange. It's like an out-of-body experience, actually, not having all that burden and stuff carrying around, to carry around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that's weird too is, at least for me, and I think that a lot of other people have done this, but there's almost a pride in like how chaotic my life was, where it's like, oh yeah, well, like you've been doing this, but like there was like a pride in like how hard I was working and how little I was producing, which is so silly. I was like proud of this stupid little mud pie that like nobody should have been proud of. And I can see that now. But in the moment, like there's like, I don't know what it is. I think it might be blue collar or this old school, but like this like, like this was a huge obstacle and I overcame it with brute strength. It's like, man, I don't want to overcome obstacles with brute strength anymore. That was exhausting. I have an excavator over here that'll dig that hole way faster. And I'm just going to pay that guy a couple $100 to dig it for me. Like that, I don't want to do it anymore with the shovel.
So Andrew, as we go out and close, if you were to speak to yourself 2 years ago and you could give yourself one glimpse into your life now, what would you share?
So 2 years ago, when I began this process, working on the business, I also began a process of working on myself really intentionally. And that was the biggest thing for me. That was the biggest change. Focusing on myself, not worrying about kind of all of these other things that I couldn't control. I'd always been told that the only constant in every situation is you. The only person that you have full control over is you. And 2 years ago, I just had the thought, like, if that's true, like, and I try it, it should work, right? And kind of asked myself that question. I was like, all right, if everybody's saying that this is true, let's do it. And if I could go back and tell myself anything, I would say work on yourself, because that gave me the framework for everything else to change. And until I had crap that I needed to work on in myself, and until I got that figured out, I wasn't able to think clearly to work on anything else.
Those are powerful words of wisdom, because I think the greatest opportunity we have on our entrepreneurial journey is to grow ourselves and our businesses. For our business to grow, we have to grow.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us, Andrew, for speaking so openly about what you've been through, the lessons that you've learned. It's been very powerful. And I know that you're being a gift from your gift, because what you're sharing here is touching lives. There are people listening who are in struggle, who are getting inspired by this, by what's possible. I really appreciate you being willing to talk about that and share that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Great story. Thank you.
If you're like most business owners, you have a cash-sucking business that's taking over your life. After the first year in our Better Business, Better Life program at Tap the Potential, you'll have more time for what matters to you and more money in your bank account than you've ever had. Get started. Take our assessment at tapthepotential.com/assessment. Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Profit by Design podcast Facebook group. Share your thoughts on today's episode, ask us questions, and let us know what you want to hear about next. Visit our website at profitbydesignpodcast.com to access resources from our sponsors and tools we've created for you. Subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening to right now. There's a subscribe button right there. Go ahead and hit it so that you always get a notification when we release a new episode. And finally, share our podcast with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. Thanks again for listening. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.